This is Shirley again, and welcome to Adult Story Time with The Harbinger by Jonathan Kahn. We are so excited to go into chapter 13, The Ninth Harbinger, the prophecy. Before we go into that, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the book in case there's anybody here that's logging on for the first time. It's probably backwards for you, but this is The Harbinger, Harbinger, by Jonathan Kahn, Cahn. A little bit about Jonathan. Jonathan Kahn is known for opening up the deep mysteries of Scripture and for teachings of prophetic import. He leads Hope of the World Ministries, an international outreach of teaching, evangelism, and compassion projects for the needy. He also leads the Jerusalem Center Beth Israel, a worship center made up of Jews and Gentiles, people of all backgrounds, located in Wayne, New Jersey, just outside of New York City. He has ministered throughout the world and on television and radio. He is a Messianic Jewish believer, a Jewish follower of Jesus. For more information or for other messages and teachings from Jonathan, or to contact his ministry, write to Hope of the World, Box 1111, Lodi, New Jersey, 07644. You can also visit his website, get in touch, and get more online at www.theharbinger, Harbinger, website.com or www.hopeoftheworld.org. All right. A little bit about the book from Jonathan. The back of the book, the summary that Jonathan wrote. Is it possible? Is it possible that there exists an ancient mystery that holds the secret of America's future? That this mystery is behind everything from 9/11 to the collapse of the global economy? That God is now somehow sending a prophetic message on which America's future hangs? Before its end as a nation, there appeared in ancient Israel a series of specific omens and signs warning of its destruction. These same 9 harbingers are now manifested in America with profound ramifications for America's future and end-time prophecy. Hidden in the ancient biblical verse from the book of Isaiah, the mysteries revealed in the Harbinger are so precise that they foretell ancient American events down to the exact days. The 3,000-year-old mystery that revealed the exact date of the stock market collapse of 2008, the ancient prophecy that was proclaimed from the floor of the U.S. Senate and then came true, and more. The revelations are so specific that even the most hardened skeptic would find it hard to put down. Though it sounds like a plot from a Hollywood thriller, it's real. Written in a riveting narrative style, The Harbinger opens with the appearance of a man burdened with a series of messages he has received in the form of 9 seals. Each seal unveils a prophetic mystery concerning America and its future that will take you on an amazing journey that will change the way you see the world forever. All right, let's jump right in. The Ninth Harbinger. We left off as he reached in his pocket and bought out the seal. I'm gonna read the last page from the last chapter. What is it that speaks of what would be, Noriel? A prophecy, I answered. The Ninth Harbinger. Is it a prophecy? Correct. Then we have to look for a prophet. No. Then what? He rose to his feet and began walking down the steps. Come, Noriel, and I will show you. Show me? The place where it all happened. All right, going into chapter 13. We walked down the marble steps and then along the reflecting pool. A question, I said, breaking the silence. Ask, he replied. The Ninth Harbinger is like the 8th in that it doesn't so much concern a piece of the mystery of Isaiah 9:10, but the whole prophecy. Yes. But it's different from the eighth in that the eighth speaks primarily of what is in the present tense, and the ninth speaks about what would be in the future tense. Is that right? Correct. So the ninth harbinger is a manifestation of Isaiah 9 and 10 in the form of a prophecy, as both a vow and a prophecy, he said, and given in such a way as to fall on the nation. So then to fall on America? Yes. We walked on for a time in silence as he pondered his words. Then he came to a stop and asked me for the seal he had just given me. Upon receiving it, he began to reveal the mystery. He stopped, looked at it. He said, pointing forward. In the distance ahead of us was the massive dome of the Capitol building, the center of American government, he said. Is this the place? I asked. He didn't answer, but resumed walking. He continued until we reached the foot of the Capitol steps, where we came to a stop. On September 12, 2001, he said, the morning after attack, the United States Senate and the House of Representatives convened to issue a joint resolution responding to 9/11. It was to be the nation's first official response to the calamity. On the morning after September 11, he said, America would issue its response to the calamity in the form of a joint resolution of Congress. The one appointed to present the nation's response was the Senate Majority Leader. The act would be critical. For a nation's response to a divine warning, its future is determined. Finally, we reached the top of the stairs where the prophet continued his account. The smoke still hovered over ground zero as the American government prepared to deliver its response to 9/11 before a nation and a world waiting to see what the response would be. The Senate Majority Leader made his way to the podium to present it. Mr. President, he said, I sent a resolution to the desk. The assistant legislative clerk then read the document. A joint resolution expressing the sense of the Senate and the House of Representatives regarding the terrorist attacks launched against the United States on September 11, 2001. The clerk continued to read in the resolution a condemnation of the attacks and expressions of condolences, and then a call for unity, a war against terrorism, and the punishment of those responsible for the attack and all who assisted them. That would all be expected, I said. It would be, said the prophet. But the Senate Majority Leader began his address. At the end of the speech would come to the climax. These are the words proclaimed by the Senate Majority Leader on Capitol Hill the morning after 9/11 to present the sum up the nation's response to the calamity. Listen. I know that there is only the smallest measure of inspiration that can be taken from this devastation, but this is a passage in the Bible from Isaiah that I think speaks to all of us at this time as this. The bricks have fallen down, but we will rebuild with dressed stones. The fig trees have failed, but we will replace them with cedars. I was speechless for several moments. I don't know what I expected to hear, but what I heard left me without words and with my heart racing. I was completely stunned. The ancient vow had actually been proclaimed to the nation from Capitol Hill. The vow of fallen bricks and sycamore had echoed through the halls of the United States Congress, and all on the morning after 9/11. How could it happen that the vice presidential candidate or with the stone on the tree? How could any of this have happened? It had to happen, and so it did. The majority leader of the United States Senate was publicly pronouncing judgment on America. Blindly, he replied, having no idea what he was pronouncing. As far as he knew, he was only delivering an inspiring speech, but unknowingly playing his part in a prophetic mystery. Yes. And so the words of the ancient vow were now officially joined to the America in 9/11. And just as Isaiah's recording of the vow transformed it into a matter of national record and prophetic word for all the people, so now the same words were now officially recorded in the annals of Congress as a matter of national record. But you said it was a prophecy. How can someone who isn't a prophet bring forth a prophetic word? He was speaking, as the gospel put it, not of his own initiative, but prophesying by virtue of his office as the chief representative of the nation. The Senate Majority Leader was the highest representative of America's highest representative body. By virtue of that office, he became the instrument to represent the nation, to speak on its behalf, to give voice to its response, and to deliver a prophetic words. So someone can prophesy without being a prophet? How does that happen? The word is inspiration. When a prophet speaks, he does so under inspiration of the Spirit. But prophets aren't the only ones who can speak or act under inspiration. The Bible itself is called the inspired Word of God because it was written by those under the inspiration of God's Spirit. Not only by prophets, even those who have no idea what they're doing or saying, even those who act and speak from other motives, even a politician, well-meaning or not, may speak under the inspiration of God. Inspiration, I ask. Didn't he use the word in that speech? He did. Inspiration from the Latin inspirato means to be breathed or blown upon. By the wind, by the breath, by the Spirit. That which is inspired is God-breathed, Spirit-blown. The word is defined as a supernatural or divine influence upon the prophets, the apostles, and the sacred writers, or upon men to enable them to communicate divine truth. So the word has a double meaning. Yes, that which he intended to say and that which he didn't. With the Senate Majority Leader, the message he intended to say was the following words are going to inspire you. And that's how most people would have understood it. Yes, said the prophet. But then there was the message he didn't intend to say, which was this. The following words do not come from my own initiative, but are of divine origin. The same origin and influence by which the prophet spoke. What you're about to hear is a prophetic message. So even the word inspiration comes forth by inspiration. Yes, that as well as a prophetic address. Again, it's a message of two realms and a double meaning. What the speaker meant to say was this. There's a passage in the Bible to bring comfort in times of crisis like this. And of course, the Bible is filled with countless passages of comfort and encouragement. But Isaiah 9 and 10 isn't one of them. No, said the prophet, not by a long shot. So what he did mean to say What he didn't mean to say, but actually said, was this: there is a message from Scripture now given and speaking to America. The message is a prophetic word of warning sent to a nation that once knew God and appointed to be given and to speak at this particular time, the time when a nation is standing in danger of judgment. And then, after proclaiming the ancient vow, the Senate Majority Leader added his own words. The bricks have fallen, but we will rebuild with dressed stones. The fig trees have fallen, but we will replace them with cedars. That is what we would do. That is what we would do. Just those 6 words. But all that was needed to transform the vow. No longer was it an ancient vow of the ancient people. No longer was it merely a quotation. It was now the vow itself. It was now the vow. The we of ancient Israel had transformed into the we of America. The act of national defiance was now taking place not in ancient capital of the ancient kingdom. It was now transpiring in Washington, D.C. The ancient judgment drama was now playing out itself on Capitol Hill. And then the Senate Majority Leader brought it to its logical conclusion. That is what we will do. We will rebuild. We will recover. It was the final restating of the vow. That is what we will do. In other words, America will do exactly as ancient Israel had done in its days of judgment, which is the word that, as in that is what we will do, can only refer to the ancient vow. In other words, America will continue in its defiance of God, in its departure from his ways, in its refusing to hear his call to return. Only it would do so all the more. America will follow the course of the ancient vow. And what happened after the vow was spoken, I asked. Everyone was in full agreement, he replied. They had no idea what they had just heard. No, they had no idea what had happened. That which had gone forth from Capitol Hill was the proclamation that identifies a nation in rebellion against God and the pronunciation of judgment upon that nation. And what happened after that? Did he know that there was actually a tree cut down by the calamity at ground zero and that it bore the same name as the fallen tree of Isaiah 9 and 10 when he said that in his speech? No, he had no idea. His version translated it as a fig tree. Nevertheless, it was the biblical shakam, the fig mulberry tree. The sycamore, and even if he had known what he was saying, what it all meant, he could have had no idea it had actually been fulfilled. When he proclaimed that prophecy on September 12, Ground Zero was still in a disaster site and cut off from the public. And it was only in later days that the story of the sycamore of Ground Zero would come out. And yet he spoke of it. Nor could he have known on September 12 that the one day a crane would lower a 20-ton gazette stone onto Ground Zero where the bricks had fallen. That would come true only 3 years after he foretold it. Wow. And the cedar tree, I asked? There's no way he could have known that a tree matching the biblical Erez tree would actually be planted in the place of the fallen sycamore. That too would only happen years later, and only because someone decided to donate that particular tree. He couldn't have had any idea, and yet he prophesied it. That the one would be planted in the place of the other. It was all prophesied the day after 9/11. It was all there and recorded in the annals of Congress for the whole nation to know. The nation would respond to its calamity just as ancient Israel had responded to its calamity. It would pursue a course of defiance on a path of judgment. I was silent. The prophet paused before saying anything more. Allow me time to process what I was hearing before showing me something else. Come, Noriel, I want you to see something. He led me to the other side of the Capitol and pointed to the nearby building. Do you know what this is? I feel I should. What you are looking at is the Supreme Court, the highest court in the land. And yet, there is a higher court. A higher court than this, which nations are judged. According to the biblical requirement, before a truth can be established by a judgment passed in a court of law, the matter must be confirmed by two witnesses. One witness shall not rise against a man concerning an iniquity or a sin that he commits. By the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, the matter shall be established. The principle of 2 witnesses appears first to the legal realm, but it can also be applied to the realm of nations. In the case of America, the Isaiah 9 and 10 connection would likewise be established by 2 witnesses. The Senate Majority Leader on the day after 9/11 was the first witness. And the second witness, the vice presidential candidate 3 years later on the anniversary of 9/11. Both would speak the same words. Correct. And both would bear witness of the joining of America to an ancient Israel and of 9/11 to Isaiah 9 and 10. The one speaking of what would be and the other of what is. That the vow was being fulfilled. And neither of the two, I added, had any idea what they were saying or what the other was saying or how their words were actually being fulfilled in reality. No, said the prophet, which only further compounds the weight of their testimony. And it was all set in motion on the very day after 9/11, here with a warning and the pronouncement of judgment. The prophecy was proclaimed to the nation from Capitol Hill, and it would all come true. There was a silence. The revelation of the ninth Harbinger was finished, and I was still shaken. The obscure, mysterious prophecy had actually been proclaimed from the seat of the American government, and the speaker linked it all to 9/11. That together with everything else, all the connections, all the twists and quirks, the reenactments, the replaying, the ancient mystery manifested in America, it left me shaken. I wanted to be silent, to try to take it all in. But I had the sense that if I didn't say something soon, he'd be gone, and it would be the end. It was the last harbinger. I broke the silence. I have a question. Yes. If America is following the same pattern as ancient Israel, witnessing the same signs, uttering the same words, reenacting the same acts, responding with the same response, yes, how can it escape suffering the same fate? He didn't answer. So I again spoke. And if the proclaiming of the vow was just the first stage of judgment for Israel and not the last, then what about America? What does the future hold? And that concludes our chapter 13 of the Harbinger. And to my surprise, the book continues. So we do have a couple more chapters. We'll be going to chapter 14 tomorrow at 5 o'clock again. And the name of that chapter is There Comes a Second. Thank you for joining me for Adult Story Time with the Harbinger. It has been awesome again, and I look forward to tomorrow there comes a second. I don't know what that is. It's been 2 years since I read the book, so I don't remember it, but I'm excited to find out what comes next. And as always, we're going to close in a prayer. For those that are joining us today that do not know Jesus as their personal Savior, I'm going to pray this prayer with you. And for those that are joining who already do, it'll be a recommitment for you. Let's bow our heads. Dear Jesus, I know that you are the Son of God, and you came down to this fallen, dark world to die on the cross because I'm guilty of sin. I have sinned and fallen short of the truth of God. And I ask you to forgive me. And I ask you to accept me into your family. I thank you for forgiving me. And I thank you for welcoming me into your family. And I will spend the rest of my life thanking you for the free gift of salvation. Amen. All right. Welcome to the family. And for those who are already Christians, rededication is just like telling a loved one you love them. You can never say it too much. I love you guys, and I look forward to tomorrow. Bye-bye.